Alright guys, welcome back to another video with me, Kevin Dillon. In today's video we are predicting the World Cup. A very hard tournament to predict. A lot of teams usually underperform, some overperform, and that's just kind of how tournament football works. Today's video we are collabing with Dillon, and we'll talk a bit about Movember later in the video, link in the description. Let's start with Group A. We're not going to say every team, we're not going to say for third, fourth, yeah, we're just going to say the two teams and then maybe what could upset the predictions. I think Netherlands are clear top of the group for Group A. Then you can maybe question second place. For me it's Senegal, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ecuador maybe sneak into second, because Senegal don't have Sadio Mane for the start of the tournament. That could upset my Group A predictions. We then move on to Group B. I think England are quite they're kind of a clear top of the group. Maybe some people underestimate England due to the Nations League. I do think they'll finish top of the group because it's a fairly easy group for them. Then second place maybe up for debate. For me it's the USA. I just think they have enough quality to beat Wales and Iran, but it wouldn't shock me if Wales were maybe to get second. But England and USA for me. Group C. I think second place is very debatable with Group C, especially with Poland and Mexico, not so quite with Saudi Arabia. For me, Argentina clear top of the group. I don't think we even have to discuss that with the quality they've got. It's between Poland and Mexico. I'm going to edge towards Mexico. I think they have a little bit more quality than the Poland side. I think Poland are more or less just a really good striker and the odd good player scattered about. So I think Mexico are a bit more well-rounded. On to Group D. Will the World Cup winners' curse continue? Will France crash out the group? For me, no. I do think France qualify. I don't think top of the group, however. I think Denmark will top Group D. Sorry, the Aussie boys. It's, basically Scotland 2.0. You've got three Scottish-born players. I hope you do really well, but I just don't see it happening, sadly. I'd love it if Australia get through, but I sadly don't see it happening. On to Group E, and I think this one's probably the easiest group to predict, unless one of the better nations, well, the so-called better nations, underperform. So yeah, it's obviously Costa Rica and Japan that are qualifying, bye-bye Spain and Germany. No, but for serious, I think Germany will top the group. For me, they're the best team in that group, and Spain second. I hope Japan qualify. They've got a lot of Celtic links in general. Surprisingly, didn't call up Atai or Kyogo, but Daisen Maeda is there, so good luck, Daisen. But Spain and Germany will get through, in my opinion. Into Group F. This one, I see a lot of people maybe thinking Belgium will top this group. For me, I don't think they will. I think Croatia top this group. I feel like this is like the end of the Belgian golden generation. Lukaku's not really firing. He might show up at this tournament. I think De Bruyne is fantastic. Is he enough to get them to top the group and go deep? Not so much in my opinion, but I might be incorrect here. But for me, Belgium second, Croatia first, and yeah, we don't need to mention the others. Group G, I think it's the most obvious who's going to finish top of that. Brazil, just way too much quality in that side. It should be illegal to have that much quality in your side from what Brazil have. And then for second, for me, I'm going to edge towards Serbia, but good luck to the Cameroon. They have ex-Celtic player Olivier Ntcham. Group H, the final group. I predicted this before the Ronaldo situation, so I wonder how much this affects it for others who are doing it a little bit more closest to the World Cup, because I made this and then recorded the audio before the World Cup, just prior. For me, Portugal top the group. I think they just have so much quality, but it'll be interesting to see how that added pressure Cristiano. There's already pressure with having a player like Cristiano Ronaldo in your squad, but then when you have his interview with Piers Morgan and all these issues in Manchester United, I think that's an added pressure that you don't want, especially the fact there's other Man United players in the squad. I think Portugal top the group, Uruguay second, but it will be interesting to see how it affects Portugal in this World Cup. Just a reminder, we're still promoting Movember as it's still the month of December. and just click the link in the description. Donate any amount, it could be £1, whatever. Donate to the main page or my link in the description. It's a great cause, and yeah, enjoy the rest of today's video. So, round of 16, Netherlands versus USA. I think it's a bit obvious. Netherlands will beat USA. Sorry, Carter Vickers. But sadly, I don't think the other 10 players in that starting 11 will save you. You know, he's too good for the USA. Next game, Argentina versus France. I think Argentina will win this. I think France will get out the group to stop that World Cup sort of curse, but I feel like Argentina will just be too good for them, to be honest. Germany versus Belgium. I think Germany win this. I just think they're better in Belgium in most ways, but that one star player in Kevin De Bruyne that can change a game. He could be the game changer for them. Brazil versus Uruguay should be an entertaining game, but I think Brazil, you know, as I said, that squad is just so good. You know, top team. England versus Senegal, I think this will be a routine victory for England. Shouldn't be too difficult unless that Nations League form continues. Denmark versus Mexico, this one, you know, it's a flip of a coin. For me, I'm going to edge towards Denmark, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mexico were to win that game. Croatia versus Spain, a replay of the Euros match. To be a bit different, I'm going to go Croatia, just so my predictions aren't the same as everyone. There's always one upset. I'm going to tip towards that for my round of 16 upset, and Portugal to beat Serbia. However, Serbia do have two good attacking options in Mitrovic and Vlahovic in the attack. That's a very interesting attack for them. Quarterfinals, Netherlands versus Argentina should be a fantastic game to watch. I'm going to tip towards Argentina there, but I wouldn't be surprised in a Netherlands upset victory. Germany versus Brazil, it's kind of the same situation. I think Brazil will win it, but I wouldn't be shocked. I think everyone has Brazil and Argentina going very deep in the tournament. England versus Denmark, a replay of the semi-final of the Euros, and I think it'll be the same outcome with England winning. Croatia versus Portugal, and I think this is where it ends for Croatia. Portugal getting the win to go to the semis. We now have England versus Portugal, and I'm going to tip towards Portugal. Maybe a bit biased from me, but I'm going to tip towards Portugal. And then Argentina versus Brazil. Some people see these two as the potential winners of the tournament. Some people say Brazil win it, some people say Argentina. I'm going to tip towards Argentina. I think it's more I want it to happen. I think Brazil are realistically the favourites for the tournament, in my opinion. But because it's my prediction, I'm going to say what I want to happen, not what I think will happen. So, Argentina to the final to face Portugal. But let's talk about the biggest game first before we get to the final. You know, that third place match, the third place playoff. Brazil versus England. I think Brazil win this. And, I mean, it doesn't really matter, does it? And then the final. Messi versus Ronaldo. Argentina versus Portugal in the biggest international match possible. The two greatest players, you know. Will Messi beat Ronaldo? In my opinion, Messi will beat Penaldo, and yeah, Messi's going to officially announce himself as the GOAT if he wasn't already. For me, he is, but he will now have no argument, and it will be Messi getting the win in the final. I don't think he'll get the winner. I'm going to put it out there. Messi will not score in the final, but Alvarez from Man City will score the winner. That's my prediction. Make it a wee bit different. I think the top assister will be Messi. Top goal scorer will be Neymar Jr. And the Golden Glove will go to Edison or Alisson, whoever starts in goal for Brazil. Now let's see what Dillon has to say.
Yo, I'm back again on the Kevin Twist channel to make some absolutely abhorrent predictions, as seems to be my role here these days. This time, of course, I'll be predicting the entire 2022 World Cup. Well, I say predicting, but to be honest, this is basically the football version of the wrestling fantasy booking videos, in all honesty, but oh well. With that being said, let's get into it. Okay, starting off with the groups, I'll just be saying the two countries that I think will qualify and a vague reason for my choices. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. Okay, so starting off, we've got Group A. I think the Netherlands are winning the group, to be honest, with Senegal finishing second. This is a difficult group to quantify, particularly when it comes to that second place, because I think every side in the group has a chance of qualifying, to be honest. Senegal are the favourites to clinch second for sure, with quality players like Koulibaly, Ismail Assar and Idrissa Gueye. However, I think that Ecuador could surprise them if they end up going on a good run. Then, of course, we have Qatar, who, despite being probably the weakest team in the entire World Cup, are a threat to every team in the entire tournament, to be honest, owing entirely to the fact that they seem to be able to bribe whoever they want to get their way. Moving swiftly on to Group B, in which, despite my own personal allegiances, I have England winning the group, with Wales finishing second. The USA had probably most people's favourites to qualify in second, but I think Wales have more team spirit and will still be riding high off the back of a big win versus Ukraine that got them to this stage in the first place. The less said about Iran, the better, I think. Bit of a shorter one here. In Group C, I have another big favourite winning the group, Argentina, with Saudi Arabia shocking both Mexico and Poland to reach the last 16. It just makes sense to me that one Middle Eastern team would do well in the first ever Middle Eastern World Cup, and since I don't think Qatar will qualify, Saudi Arabia will suffice. For Group D, I have Denmark as the surprise victors, with France finishing second. France have been shaky ever since winning the last World Cup in 2018, and I think the World Cup winner's curse will come back to bite them. Denmark are a quality team with some really good players, and I have faith that they'll do well, to be honest. Big shout out, of course, to Australia, particularly the three Jambos that were on the plane to Qatar. They'll be more an honorary team for the World Cup probably, but unfortunately I don't think they'll quite do enough to get past the group stages. No surprises in Group E, in which I've picked Spain to win, with Germany coming behind them in second. That, of course, is no disrespect to Japan or Costa Rica, who are both good sides, but sometimes the obvious choice is the best one to make, that's all I can say. In Group F, we must press F to pay respects to both Canada and Croatia, neither of whom I believe will qualify ahead of Belgium in first or Morocco in second. Yeah, I picked Morocco over Croatia, I'm mental, I know. Next up, we've got Group G, in which I have the obvious favourites Brazil winning and Cameroon coming in second. Honestly, this group is Brazil and everyone else as far as I'm concerned, so any of the other three teams can finish second, as they're all decent sides with real quality in their respective squads. I just think Cameroon will do it. So, finishing off the group stages, I have the great nation of Uruguay winning the group, with Ghana taking advantage of the weirdness surrounding Portugal right now to snipe second place and make their way to the last 16. Ronaldo fans can cry themselves to sleep in the comments if they wish, I wouldn't even have to deal with it. I'm also shortlisting Darwin Núñez to be one of the top scorers of the entire tournament, by the way. So, here we are moving on to the round of 16. The first match of my predicted round of 16 is the Netherlands versus Wales, in which I think Louis van Gaal's side would scrape a win against a very mentally strong Wales side. I wouldn't be surprised to see Gareth Bale end up on the score sheet, especially considering his general insanity for Wales. But I think the Netherlands have way too much quality to be going out this early, to be honest, especially to a team that just can't match them man to man. Next up, we've got a very familiar match, particularly for a certain Benjamin Pavard, Argentina versus France. This is certainly a spicy, if uncreative matchup, and I think that the World Cup winner's curse will come true, and Argentina will roundly smack France, with Lautaro Martinez proving his sheer quality and goal scoring output, although I'd be very surprised if Messi didn't also have a bone to pick with them. In a slightly less exciting encounter, we have England versus Senegal. I doubt this one's really up for debate in all honesty. I think England would win this comfortably, even despite their less than stellar form on the international stage since the 2021 Euros. What could swing the difference, however, is if Sadio Mane manages to make it back in time for the tournament, with his injury struggles potentially ruling him out. Yet another game in which the favourite wins in my book is Denmark versus Saudi Arabia, which would be an absolute trouncing on the part of the Danes in my opinion. They just have far too much quality for the Saudis to compete, I'm afraid. In something of a minor political grudge match, we have Spain versus Morocco, which I would consider to be another game with a very strong favourite. However, I'm going to change it up a little, with Morocco winning a scrappy affair between the two teams. Morocco are my dark horse for the tournament, to be honest. I think the likes of Ziyech, Naziri, Hakimi, Aguerd, Mazraoui, Amrabat, Saiss, they'll all make a big difference to Morocco and help them to be a very balanced and well-rounded team in the tournament. In a much less surprising twist, I have Brazil going through to the quarterfinals, with a massive win over Ghana bringing them through. Ghana do look like a pretty great side for this World Cup, but it's just unfortunate that in this theoretical scenario they'd be going up against Brazil of all teams. In another very interesting match, we have the battle of the red, yellow and black flags, Belgium versus Germany. This is a really hard one to predict for me, as since the 2014 World Cup, both sides are perennial underachievers on the biggest stage, but are also both two of the foremost sides in the entirety of international football, with Belgium still being ranked second to this day. This could honestly go either way, but I have Germany taking it. They've just got a better track record, really. Finally, for the round of 16, it's Uruguay versus Cameroon. This was quite an interesting one for me, but in the end I picked Uruguay as their squad's just bursting at the seams with a mix of youth, experience and general quality, with the likes of Fede Valverde, Darwin Núñez, Luis Suarez, Sebastian Cortes, Diego Godin of all people, and many more all lining up for the two-time World Cup champions. So, quarter-final time. This is where it gets a little bit spicy. In our first quarter-final, we've got the Netherlands versus Argentina, which some people may recognise as a repeat of the extremely dramatic World Cup semi-final battle these two had in 2014. This is really one of the most difficult predictions I've had to make for this video, but in the end, I went with Argentina repeating their 2014 triumph and going through to the World Cup semi-final yet again, especially with Messi presumably being desperate to get his hands on the one trophy that's eluded him thus far in his legendary career. Next up, we've got Morocco versus Brazil, which would likely be an absolute blowout in favour of Brazil being real. The combination of Neymar, Vinicius, Antony, Richarlison and more all in one team, and that's only the attackers by the way, is utterly frightening. Not even to mention the quality they've got in defence as well, with the likes of Marquinhos, Thiago Silva and Eder Militao. I said that Morocco were my dark horses, and it's true, but nobody can come up against Brazil. Talking about World Cup semi-final repeats, in our third quarter-final we have England versus Denmark. In all honesty, I see the same result as last time, with England unfortunately going to yet another major semi-final. If it keeps Southgate in a job though, it's a good thing I guess. And if you've been paying attention, you'll know that finally we have Germany versus Uruguay. This was quite a difficult one. I think both sides honestly could win this and probably make it through to the final. But I'm going to go with the favourites, Germany, just to be safe, basically. I think they're a pretty solid team this year. So, let's move on to the semis then, shall we? In these semis, I've inadvertently managed to pick two of the biggest rivalries in international football history, Argentina versus Brazil and England versus Germany. What were the chances? So, first and foremost, we have Argentina versus Brazil. One of the most hotly debated talking points around this World Cup, bar all the human rights abuses and general scumbaggery, is what team's better, Argentina or Brazil? I don't have an answer to that question, but in this match, I think Brazil will manage to scrape a vital win against Argentina on penalties and advance through to the World Cup final. I do see Messi putting in a man of the match for performance, to be fair, but as we've seen before, that doesn't seem to be enough to drag Argentina to these crucial wins in international competition. For the second semi, I had to think quite hard about it, as both teams have perhaps been both rather underwhelming for the past few years. However, I reckon that Germany will go through to the World Cup final in Doha, with England yet again missing out at one of the final stages, despite the quality of players such as Kane, Bellingham and of course Connor Cody. For the record, by the way, I think both of these games are extremely close, but at the end of the day, I can only pick one team to win each game. But this isn't me definitively saying one team's better than another, although I definitely am saying that England are shite. So, here we are. The most hotly anticipated part of this video, what you all clicked on the video to see, the third place game. In all seriousness, I think this would be a really interesting and bitter contest between two fierce rivals, but I think the English would triumph over a demoralised and uninterested Argentina side. After all, what's really the point in playing this match? It's just pointless bragging rights to show that you're, in fact, slightly less of a loser than the other team. Massive stakes. Okay, finally, we have the World Cup final. I pondered this for a little while, but honestly, there was only one outcome in my mind when it was all said and done. Before I say it, however, I'm going to bait you all a little bit more by going through my award winners first. So, my pick for World Cup top scorer is Lautaro Martinez, as I think he's a really top class striker, eagerly awaiting a chance to prove his goal scoring talent on the biggest stage in world sports, especially with the likes of Messi, Di Maria, Rodrigo de Paul and more pinging in elite passes to him all the time. In terms of top assister, I think the easy answers are either Messi or Neymar, so I'm just going to put them both tied basically. Golden Ball wise, it's hard to predict who the overall best player in the entire tournament will be, but I'm going to put myself out there a bit and give it to Germany's Jamal Musiala, who's a top quality young player with bags of potential and unreal ability, especially with the supporting cast of the likes of Thomas Müller helping him out. Finally, the Golden Glove winner, Jordan Pickford. No bias at all, trust me. Right, sorry about that. I had to stat pad Kevin's watch time a bit. I'll actually get into the final now. In the 2022 World Cup final, held in Qatar, in the first meeting between these two sides since one of the most legendary games in World Cup history in the 2014 semi-final, the infamous 7-1 demolishing that Brazil took at the hands of the ruthlessly efficient Germany side that eventually lifted the trophy, I've got Brazil winning. I'm sorry, it's just the obvious pick in my opinion. They're the best national team on the planet, with the best selection of talent and insane depth to go along with it. They only really have one weakness in their entire squad, which is their fullback positions, but the rest is genuinely unfathomably good. Not only have I got Brazil winning the World Cup, but I also, again, no bias at all, trust me, have Richarlison scoring the winner in the final. Will I be right? Who knows? All I know is that football is the real loser here, having the World Cup played in a totalitarian state in stadiums built off the back of slaves. Oh well. Alright, well, that was quite a long one, but thanks to my boy Kevin for having me on the channel again. Make sure to subscribe to him, like the video, whatever. Cheers. You can also subscribe to me at my channel if you want. I don't really upload. I'm quite busy these days. And as you can probably tell by the lack of quality of this, I'm quite rusty at all this too. But yeah, subscribe to Kevin. Cheers.